Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Sorry for starting a minute late there. Clicked the wrong button. Anyway, morning everybody. Goose, Eric, Don, Larry, Wolfins, don't recognize your name, but welcome. Rosalind, Maurizio, Arturo, Sergio, Ryan, Rongamer, Doris, Infinity, Leah, Rex, Rob, Infinity, again, Swinborn, Robin, don't recognize your name either, but welcome. Rick, Aaron, Jan, Craig, Wade, W. Wong, don't recognize your name, and welcome. Laura, Francois, JB, Merle, Gary. And if you're wondering how these people are saying, hey, good morning, all you got to do, be a subscriber on the channel. Click the button down here in the corner, the little green overlay. Be a subscriber on the channel. You can, a few seconds later, you can chat while I'm live. Now, if I'm no longer live, you're going to have to leave a comment down below. And while you're doing that, you can check out other stuff. You can click the more button under the video description and check out the special deal I have if you're interested in the roadmap line, which we'll get to here in a minute. We'll talk more about the roadmap line and use it to look at some charts. And as a reminder, 5 p.m. today, 5 p.m., 30 minutes of awesome, 5 p.m. Eastern. And come join me. If last week I had a really light week. I mean, maybe it's the holiday, but if you don't come make requests, then the show's light and not full of fun. So gotta come participate. It's a participation sport on that one. So that's the only time of the week where I take requests. During the morning show here, I make the list and then we go through it. So anyway, glitches yesterday. Holy guacamole. That was just crazy. The GOLD glitched out while I was live, and we can see that there were almost 14 tickers that ended up glitching or something yesterday. We had like BMO, ADRT, BSAC, LPA, DY, DXYZ. The ones that were on NASDAQ weren't part of this, but it was all the NYSE ones. KFRC, MODN, ARI, and we saw some big ones here like GOLD. That was while we were live. BRK.A went from like 600,000 down to like $180 or something like that. Barrick went from, like $18 down to 25 cents while we were live. So there were some crazy things going on. It just nutty stuff, and it was blamed on a software update. I don't know. You tell me, is that really the thing that happened? Now, we've gotten used to massive uptime, no glitches, no problems, but this is really reminiscent of like when the high frequency traders were going crazy back in 2012 and they kept breaking the system and all these problems that we kept having. If you don't remember that, it was like every day the market had some kind of crazy price glitch. We'd run it up and down hundreds of points on all sorts of stuff, and just crazy. I mean, it was just craziness. And if you haven't been around for craziness in the market, that's one reason why I'm like, you never know what to expect. I mean, the trades that happened though got backed out, as far as I know. They definitely were backing out these BRK.A. There were like, I think they said 10 trades went through that were 99% different from the rest of the trades during the day. So all those trades that they got invalidated, like they backed out. So if you took advantage of that, then your trade got invalidated. And so you couldn't take advantage of it. And I know at least one member put an order on for like 20,000 shares at 5 cents for GOLD, Barrick Mining. And it just never happened. Never happened at all. So anyway, there were some transactions, but they all got backed out. So if you were lucky enough to have any kind of crazy buy down there, your trade probably got invalidated and backed out. And they can do that. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. Now, if we move to a crypto system, that you wouldn't be able to back it out. Like that would just be part of the record. So that's kind of interesting, right? Like that's the advantages of going to like a blockchain thing where all the transactions are, live and locked in. That would be a whole different ball game, if you ask me. It really cut down on some of the craziness that we see. So my proponent of it, I don't know. Like, I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, some of the pricing things I take advantage of may be because people in the software and the things that are involved. So, but glitches were crazy. And then this is on top of the outage that we had last week. S&P 500 was blank for like over an hour. And that's all blamed on coincidence that they just happen to be updating some systems. And really, they're kind of blaming it all on the T+1, this new settlement. I don't know. I don't know what settlement has to do with price quotes and triggering the limit up, limit down. But maybe I just don't understand the software that runs the exchange. It was only on the New York Stock Exchange, so those tickers were the only ones affected. But it was quite an interesting day yesterday. Quite an interesting day. And we'll see what happens today. So moving on. I don't even see the other one that was on here. Like new scale or something like that was also a tick. That one also, it was like new scale. It's like nuclear power, something like that. Anyway, moving on. Always interesting, right? Always something different going on in the markets. So yesterday, look at this. This was interesting to me. On the price pattern for S&P, we kind of opened up here. We retraced, held firmly, higher low. That's conducive for going higher. Now, it doesn't have to. Certainly doesn't have to. Nothing ever has to finish the pattern. But that was a 618. This is one of those super power setups I always talk about. If you've taken the fib class, when the market roadmap and the 618 fib, so that's market roadmap bounce and measured bounce, that's what those two bounces are called. And without the market roadmap on there, that's called a measured bounce. That move up, that retrace, 618 right there. This right here. That right there. That is called a measured bounce. The trigger for it was a move back up through that one. So we actually activated right there toward the end of the day. The target. This is where it gets crazy. Hold on to your seats, all right? We're going to have to remove a few things. Clean this up just a little bit. Let's get this cleaned up. So the target on this one, that low, that high, that low. Oh, look. It's right there. Right there where that is. So that's kind of funny. That target and that target both are in the exact same spot. That's a high probability setup right now. So if this goes up, if this doesn't just fail right here, if this goes up at all, we're going right up in here. More than likely. More than likely. Now, could we go on up? Sure, we absolutely could go on up higher. So if we reject this, though, we could go down lower. The daily roadmap line still way on down here. Still way on down here. If you want that roadmap line, it's easy enough. Like if you're a DIYer, you can go watch my back history catalog. It's like my favorite indicator or something like that. I've got that video from maybe 2 years ago now. And I tell you how to use it and all that stuff. But if you want to just pay $5, you get an easy button. You just click it and put it on your chart. You know, if you do the DIY way, I give you the code and you have to put in the code yourself. A little more DIY, a little more technical. And if you're an easy button type of person, for less than the $9 coffee, you can just click an easy button and put it on your chart. And then I also send you a weekly watch list, which if you're a DIYer, you don't get the weekly watch list, but for $5, you get a weekly watch list for like 3 months. And I give you, there's other options to keep doing that for a longer time. So anyway, that's pretty sweet right there. Pretty sweet. So it looks like odds are we're probably going higher, but we'll see. We'll see. Because when we pop over here and look at the smaller time frame, the 15-minute overnight, look at this. Kind of got yucky. And the market reopened at 6 p.m. last night, which was right there. A little bit of sideways and a dip. Hold a higher low, possibly. We're going to hold that, break back above here, and go higher. As long as we're above Friday's low, odds are we're going on up. Now, the sucky thing that's kind of formed right here is a little baby watermelon seed squeeze right here. Little baby watermelon seed squeeze. This can be an unpredictable pattern. I don't really like to see that right there. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's not going higher. So right up here's the target, 5350 to 5400. We'll see. We'll see. I said 5350, 5390, excuse me, to 5400. 5380, 90. Yeah, right around the 5400 would probably be where we popped on the futures. Now, you may be like, well, you're given different prices for S&P targets. Yeah, futures and cash. These are two different things here. S&P 500 futures, they kind of have their contracts that expire this month, and they will roll over in the next couple of weeks to September. So we'll go from June contracts to September contracts, and they have kind of a natural theta built into them. They're not like options. It's not the same. It's a different product, but they represent. It's kind of like an option, but it represents the future price of S&P at the expiration of the contract. And you can see the forward chart down here, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. The pricing priced into those contracts that are already sitting out there, kind of expecting S&P to go on up quite a bit, near 6,400 out to 2029. That's just the natural. They call it, when the future price is higher or lower, they call it backwardation and contango. All right. Backwardation is when the prices are lower. Contango is when it's like higher. So I think that's right. I get them confused. I don't really use it to trade, but the higher and lower. And you may be like, well, wouldn't they always be higher? Well, when we go look at something like CL right here, just click on another chart here, oil, and we look at this, look, that one's pricing it lower. So those future contracts are actually pricing lower oil, whereas the market right here, S&P, pricing higher prices. And look at that volatility curve. That's interesting. So there's all sorts of interesting things that go on. Sound like the market just opened, and look at these crazy charts here. Look at this. Look at this nuts. Get some targets there. Check this out right here. Look at this thing. Cocoa did a market roadmap bounce, essentially. Probably going higher. 12,600 would be the next target up. Maybe like, JT, how do I trade cocoa? You're going to have to go look that up yourself. You could buy cocoa futures right there. So cocoa futures likely to go up, but it's going to be a wild ride. Also, look at orange juice right here. Look at this thing. Absolutely freaking crazy. Look at this move. And it hadn't even gone super crazy yet. The Brazil crop came in the lightest it's ever been, or the lightest it's been in 36 years. And Florida still hasn't recovered from the storm damage and the fungus disease thing that killed a bunch of trees. So that's some crazy stuff going on here. And then sugar crop is plummeting, though. People are like, what the heck? Sugar should be skyrocketing. This is partly on GLP-1 drugs, right? Sugar demand probably going to drop long term. So this could be possibly like a weekly bounce, but it also could possibly be the start of something bigger to the downside on sugar. So sugar's kind of been hyped up for a number of years here. Went through a dip in COVID, popped back up, lower high. This could be a bigger downtrend in sugar. I don't usually talk about these, but I do keep an eye on some of these right here. So anyway, moving on. Back to the NASDAQ. This is NASDAQ futures. You may be like, why don't you just look at the NDX chart or the QQQ chart? Because they don't trade all the time overnight, while the futures pretty much do. All right, so I drew this on here the other day, yesterday I guess it was, and I am looking for this continuation right up here like this, right up there. That's where I think we're going short term, probably the next couple of days, possibly by next FOMC meeting, right? We've got that FOMC meeting coming up next week, right here, June 12th, right here, right there, FOMC meeting coming up. Be careful. That's next week, next Wednesday. This week, not a ton of economic news. Not a ton of economic news happening here. We've got the ISM stuff on Monday that we already been through. Today, JOLTS jobs openings coming up in about 30 minutes. And I mean, it may move. You may see algos react a little bit. You're going to see some ADP non-farm tomorrow. We're going to see final services PMI tomorrow after the open. Some service ISM services right there. And then Thursday, we get the normal unemployment claims. And we get, it's just kind of mostly benign news here. We get on Friday, we get the jobs report, not the unemployment, the monthly jobs report, unemployment rate right there. Kind of expected to, I don't expect much of this to move the market much. So we may grind higher right into that FOMC meeting next week. That's what the market's kind of set up for. I have my in-person event on the 13th and 14th next week. I'll try to be live from the location where we do it, the hotel. So I will have a live studio audience on the 13th and 14th. We actually have a welcome dinner on the 12th. So that'll be fun. And 13th, 14th. So yeah, I'm doing that for my Termite Trading Lab Insider VIP group. So if you want more information on that, it's kind of late to get in on that deal next week. But if you're in the local area, 321-888-3962. If you're interested, you find out more information about it. How much does it cost? It's a 5-figure number. That's the starting price. It's a 5-figure number. So, and most of those people do pretty darn good, having all access to all that is JT. Before I go too deep, I guess, talk about any more trades. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. That means just because I got something right in the past, just because we've nailed some stuff, just because my patterns work, they could all stop tomorrow. Like, it could all be over. And that would kind of suck, but, it could all be done. And what you know now never works again. That would kind of suck, right? Now, this presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Don't buy stocks, don't buy options, don't buy bonds, don't buy Forex, don't buy futures, don't buy cryptos, don't buy treasuries, don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. Don't buy stuff from gurus. Don't buy stuff from people like me, all right? Don't do it unless you trust them. And if you desire personal financial advice, you're like, JT, just tell me what to do. That's not what I do, all right? I don't tell you what to do. Hire and consult a financial advisor. Please don't ask me what to do with your trade. Don't ask me what to do with your trade. Happens all the time. Don't ask me what to do with your trade. Now, Russell right here, looking a little more bearish. A little more bearish on the downside here. This would be support right there. Kind of expect this to get continuation lower right down in here. And if we don't hold that, probably going on down. Going on down, going on down, going on down. So how far down? Right down in here, 1800, maybe the first stop. Then we get a little retrace, and then we go down even bigger. So, and you may be like, what the heck, Russell, RTY, never heard of that. IWM is the way to trade that one. And that's got a little gap down. May fill that back up before we continue on down. CO. This one's continuing down. Probably going down to this support right here, around 70. And then Next stop, mid 60s, below that. So coming on down, coming on down, coming on down. It can stop here and reverse, or it can come on down here and reverse. As I was saying yesterday, if we got an immediate big fast candle that came all the way down here, I would strongly consider buying a longer term position on oil, because this thing highly likely to go shooting right back up. All right. Be careful out there. And lots of entries, lots of exits. Oh, that's interesting. The 30-minute closed out, but the 60-minute fired off. Let's go look at that one real quick. See what it did. Oh, stopped out. And that was a stop. They were stopping both out. That's a sell. Stop out, stop out. Yeah. Do the patterns fail? Sometimes. That one failed. Boom. Potential entry and fail. Gold. Look at that. This is interesting, like right here. I always find this interesting when, okay, you've got an uptrend, right? Maybe I should change the color. It's something a little more not red. So we've got this uptrend going, right? These candles right here look like they're the wrong color candles. Don't they? So it's like green, red, green, red, green, red. But these ones right here, these three look like they're the wrong color, like for an uptrend. I always think that's kind of weird when I see that kind of pattern in the pricing. And well, that's cool. So something to watch out for. You see what we did last time over here, kind of got that same sort of move and then ripped off. See it right here? See that right there? Looks very similar to that. Then we did that. So we could do that again. Market tends to do the same thing over and over. We're all just humans. We have patterns. We have habits, right? Think about it. What do you do every day? What do the traders do every day? Right? Very similar patterns, very similar cycles. So just watch out. Just watch out. Bitcoin. This is curious. Looks like we're winding up for the pop. Looks like we're winding up for the pop. This is still in a very important level. Right here. Still a very important level. Spin a very important level. All the way across there. Once we break above that, it's probably game on for the targets. 77,000 and 85,000 all the way up there. Ethereum, not showing the enthusiasm here. This one might spike down. It's got me cautious here. We stopped right on that 76. Got me very cautious for a pop. I'm still suspect on Ethereum. Suspect. Ooh, look at this. Dollar breaking down below the roadmap line. If we hold this breakdown, it's going to lead to the bigger down in the dollar. You'd be like, well, that's bullish for the market. Yeah, only bullish when it's bullish, not bullish when it's not bullish. Correlation is not causation. I mean, let's look back here. Look back. The market dropped while we were rallying up here and then popped, but it went to all-time highs. But we were at all-time highs here. Right? We actually made the all-time high here in January, like the first couple days of January, while the dollar was rising. And the dollar was rising here, and we made that all-time high in the S&P. You may not remember, that was back over here, right here. Right? So, dollar chart and the market, don't fall for that adage that when the dollar's popping, the market's dropping. It's maybe on a daily basis or something like that, but in general, the longer term trend doesn't. That's not the inverse of the S&P 500. Right? Think about it. That's not like if this dropped when the market rise and this popped when the market drops, this would basically be an inverse of the S&P, and it's not. Not at all. We can compare it right here. Look, that's while the blips kind of line up, that's not the inverse of the S&P at all. There's a large divergence between those. Maybe like, well, on the shorter time frame, it does work. Well, look, even pulling it back to 23, even pulling it back to just this year, they're not really all that correlated at all. So don't get stuck in correlations. Don't get stuck in those. Go prove them on the chart yourself. Now, what was moving today? SAI, Saya Trucking Company, took a big retrace. Took a big retrace back down. Was that enough to go higher again? Possibly. Got resistance right up here. Got to get through that to go higher, possibly up to 660. Not too shabby. Get in at 530, get out at 660. That'd be a pretty big trade. Pretty big trade. Hubs, spot, also retracing, fully touching the roadmap line here. Break above this high right here. Just draw with this one. Break above this high right here at that 652 area. Probably going on up here like that. Boot barn. Look at that. Wow. Did the bullish thing. So watch out for the resistance. Talk about a pattern that took a long time to play out. Started out corrective. I was really concerned it wasn't going to go higher here. But then here it goes, ripping off. So where's the target on this one? Big time frame, that high, that low. 147. Right up there. That'd be the target. DCI. Donaldson Company. Unclear. There's just no clear, nothing really clear as far as targets go. It's just kind of been churning higher a little bit, set right at that resistance, maybe find resistance at 82 and then retrace back to the roadmap line. It's not like a super bullish pattern for me. XLC, I don't know that there was a lot of opportunity in that DCI chart. XLC, looks like we might need to retrace back down here, get a bounce before we can push on out up to the target up here at 97. HQY, bunch of weird tickers on the list this morning. It's always gives me caution when it's a bunch of tickers I don't really ever look at. Hub, HQY broke out of this watermelon seed squeeze thing. Could it do the rally, like the distance of the initial squeeze? I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a smaller one, but if we get the continuation, we could be up to 142 up here on the target. That one could rally on up there, but it also can fail at any point in here. So we have all these lower highs that we built up and go down just as much. Dun, 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 dun. Could break down and go down to like, yeah, not negative 16, but it'd be like, yeah, that's not right either. So gotta redraw it on the exponential chart, logarithmic chart. Come on, click. I'm gonna have to fix my clicker not clicking. Yeah, 16 potential on the downside versus this is probably even bigger on the upside. Yeah, right there. So crazy 200 on the upside and 16 on the downside. That's investment managers for health equity. I don't know. You got me. MLQ. I can't even read today. MLGO looks like an absolute dumpster fire, popping a little bit, still below the roadmap line. That would be the upside resistance. And we can easily bounce off that and go down again. Right there. That's a reverse split. So it's basically a giant dumpster fire right there on that chart. Be careful. Dumpster fire chart. Don't know nothing about the company really, but that's a dumpster fire. Packaged software has been getting kind of whacked a little bit. GPCR. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch that. That's a gnarly chart. I mean, look, it's been going sideways for more than a year, and just no indication we're going to do anything different there. So, VKTX looks like retrace back to the roadmap line. This is a biotech, pharma, medtech, FDA involved. You know, there's 4 things that don't really follow patterns when I talk through this stuff. Stuff that FDA is involved in, like biotech, medtech, hospital tech, you know, pharmaceutical, anything that the Food and Drug Administration of the United States gets involved in. It just doesn't follow the patterns. Low price stuff under $10. That's equities under $10. Doesn't really count cryptos or forex or any of the other things like that. You know, it doesn't count futures really either. So equities like stocks, basically under $10. Leverage stuff, like things that have 2x, 3x leverage, like BitX, you know, UVXY, SPXL, SPXS, you know, all those kind of leveraged products. NVDL, you know, TSL, LL, things that are leveraged. Go to the underlying chart. So if it's leveraged, it doesn't really always follow the pattern. So I can't, like, I can give you a target, but it may or may not actually work. And then China stuff, because China plays by different accounting practices than the United States. And even though they're listed in the United States market, they still don't have to comply with United States stuff. So this is biotech pharma, and doesn't always follow the pattern. So another one right here, doesn't always follow the pattern. But if it were going to play out, possibly a break back above this zone right here, could take us up to this 49 area up here. A break above this zone could take us up to that target right there. Moving on, ANNX, another pharma. That one low priced and pharma, 2 strikes right there. That high, that low could take us up to $9 right there. Snow cruising on down. I tell you, been telling you for months, come on, baby, get to the promised land. Only about $37 left to go. I just want it, not even 37, 27 to get below this low from back here. Just needed to do that right there. If we can do that, this thing can clear up all this mucky garbage right here. Just clear it all out, and we can start a new trend higher right there. I think that snow is probably going to be long-term bullish, but we need to negate all this crap right here. So how do we do that? We make a lower low in this zone down here. Anywhere below this low, lower low, set the reversal, game on for going higher. We have like, well, JT, how much higher? Like we could be talking massively higher, 650, 11, 1200, or the sky's the limit. So yeah, that's, you're like, holy moly, we start doing the math on that. If you buy at 100, somewhere in there, we're talking 6x, 12x, powerful upside potential on snow. Pave right here, Globex infrastructure development. That looks like it wants to retrace back to the roadmap line right there. Alrighty. Good job. Bought 9 contracts of BRKB. SMCI working on its way back down to the roadmap line. So this one has an immediately bearish support right here. And drop a little bit lower, probably get below this low right over here, probably dip in there and make a bottom. Now that could hold and we could go higher again. but it also could fold and we go on down in this zone and possibly down back to here. One thing at a time. This is the support we got to deal with. That doesn't hold. Probably down in this zone. 534, 554, 454, 369, and then down here back to the 200 where we consolidated for like 6 months right here. This consolidation right there. Highly likely to go revisit that over here at some point in the future, maybe 25, maybe 26. Some point in the future, SMCI will probably come back down to this zone, if not break down below it. Be careful out there. INDL, India still being crazy. 2x leverage. Look at that. Look at that pop. Look at that pop. Absolute crazy. That's leverage on an emerging market. Just being wild right there. Just being wild. Watch for that to retrace. It does fairly periodic retraces here. They're about that big. Take us right back down. Be careful. It's not really big opportunity either way. AX. Well, that one took a spill. Probably coming back down into the same zone where we've been consolidating for years. HDB. Wow, just a bunch of weird crap on the list this morning. I mean, I'd say I don't recognize probably 75% of these tickers. That one just chopping around, nothing really to talk about. SMIN, another India coming down to the roadmap line before we pop again, possibly. Small cap India. EPI, Wisdom Tree India. Yeah. It was popping yesterday, now declining. It's that first one. Oh, it came down to the roadmap line. Ha! It popped up there and came all the way down. I missed it right there. Sorry. Yeah, we could go again. So far down, I didn't even see it. We break back above the 618 right there. Could go up to 70. Dun, 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 dun. Congratulations, Eric. Good job. BBWI, Bath & Body Works. Ooh. Earnings beating on the top, beating on the bottom, but coming back down to the roadmap line. I would expect this to retrace on down right there, find support right around here if it's going to do it, and then we get the next extension to 54 right there. That's a pretty strong move just on shares. If you picked up shares here, if you were like willing to buy the falling knife at the roadmap line, you can pick up 43 and get out at 54. I mean, that's 25% just on shares. Now, the smarter thing to do is wait for the move back up through the 618 right there at 49, 54. Smaller gain, but more high probability. Higher in the probability scale right there. Now, this one hasn't shown the pattern to bounce off the roadmap line very reliably. But, you know, it's a 50, almost a 50-50, but the winners are bigger than the losers by a fair amount here. So something to keep in mind, I guess. If it bounces, pop right up there. TPST, as I said yesterday, this looks pretty garbage and looks like something's cooking. And I talked about the 517 billion in banking problem, the missing, value of the deposits, and that's all going to come to head at some point here. All going to come to head. VRT potentially dropping to the roadmap line. And just as a reminder, if I said anything that's helpful, beneficial today, make sure you give me a thumbs up, a like, a share, something. Share this with a friend. So IBN here, right back down to the roadmap line, just like I thought we might get. We kind of popped one higher high before we came back down. So that all worked. Next up, that high, that low. If we can hold it, break back above this to 28. LU. Wow. Talk about Going down in a blaze of glory. Extension $1.90 is probably the target right there. Came up just shy of it. Just shy of it. SIMO. SIMO. That one could. I'm not feeling that chart at all. But I could easily rip you and go lower. INCO. Is the wrong ticker. This should be the right ticker. Colombia India Consumer. Oh, that's a weird Colombia India Consumer ETF. And probably coming back down to the roadmap line on that one. Also, Voya Financial. Just churning. Nothing special there. ARM is probably going to retrace sooner or later. That's resistance. As long as we hold it, direction is down, just like SMCI. And last but not least on the list, AGQ might retrace back to the roadmap line here. Might do it. Bigger picture, probably going on higher. All right. Bias for the day, right? Before we wrap this baby up, bias for the day. So S&P has kind of done this pattern where if we hold yesterday's low, and just jump down, we hold that low right there from yesterday. If we hold that and keep pushing higher and we break out above this level right there, probably doing this move right up here that I already drew right there, probably doing that right up like that. Could do it by FOMC next week. All right. It's kind of my bias for the day is watching for that breakout. It could just be sideways choppy garbage for today, even tomorrow. And then we break out. But it could just chop sideways right into the FOMC, and then we got a pop and a drop, or a drop and a pop. It's all like the market can always do whatever the heck it wants. It doesn't have to do anything I say, but I tend to get it right more than I get it wrong. But hope you have a great day. Make sure you like the video if anything I said was helpful, and I'll see you again later. Remember, 5 p.m., I'll be back live again. Thanks for coming today. See you again.